What was all this about? This was beginner's open. This was very confusing because one member of the club can't read any of the instructions about how many pieces you can put in.
So for future reference, it's one piece in each class.
It's one piece in each class. So we ignored this one from Terry, and we judged this one, and we judged this one. So this one was from Terry, and it's a nice bit of burr. There are some very minor blemishes in the centre, but for a burr, it's pretty difficult to be perfect. But it's got a very nice finish. The shape flows nicely. I wasn't keen on the tartan bag, the gold at the top, but that's personal. I just thought it was a little bit too glitzy, personally, but we didn't mark you down for that. This one, I think that was Cali, was it? Yeah. Really good. You've only got very minor softening of the corners, which is really hard to do. So that's very good. The consistent thickness is excellent, which is great. You've got the wax showing up in the grain, and that's all about experience of knowing when to wax and when not to wax, so to speak. And probably an oil would have actually overcome that. You can still overcome it now by perhaps melting it with a heat gun, which might damage the finish, or just wipe it off and have another go. But on the other hand, you've done it, so it doesn't matter. But there wasn't much in the way of defects at the beginner level, apart from that in the grain. You could just use a dark oak stained wax, and that would hide, and you could just do it now on top, and it would hide it. I use sometimes for this, I use the Same & Smith's copper wax with a copper in it, and that burnishes out, but it leaves little flecks of copper colours rather than the white. So that's a good tip, I think. If we had scored this one, we would have probably scored it second or third. There are some finishing defects at the bottom, but again, oh right, okay, it's ready for a good excuse like even my finishes. But it's a nice piece. Slight thickness variation, very slightly. And it's not quite square.
Yeah, I think it's moved.
But for a beginner, again, it's a good piece. We didn't actually judge that because we thought that was a better piece. This is then intermediate themed, and we've got two.
No, one.
Just one. Is it?
No, those two.
That's intermediate. Oh, it's these two. That's right. This came first. No, sorry. Right. So we looked at this one, we looked at that one, and thought this was really elegant. It was all the hard work. Was it Alex we decided?
Yeah.
All the hard work in hand spiralling. It's kind of like, yeah, great, get a life, well done.
Legs fit well.
The legs fit well. It's the little detail at the bottom, as per some of the others who have put a little medallion on the bottom, just to hide the whatever that was as a chucking method, would have added to it. And there's some very minor scratches in the surface here, which we could have marked it down harshly, but look at the whole piece. I thought it was really good.
A lot of work in it.
A lot of work in it, and a nice fun little item that looked really delicate. This one was, okay, so that went with that, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. This one was just slightly second. It's structurally much more robust, but because the legs are vertical, we felt it looked a little inelegant as opposed to
a set of Skittles.
Yeah, as opposed to the slightly splayed look. And there are, possibly because it's moved, and there's some slight issues where you can see the glue and some slight jointing issues. Who was this one, Jonathan?
Nice button in the middle though.
Nice button in the middle, which was a good call. And the finishes on the legs are really nice. You can obviously see where the chunking method there, it's the little bits, which you could have overcome by putting a little button on the top or a bit of green baize.
But you always criticise people for putting green.
I was being sarky because I'd have peeled it off and had a look underneath. But you know, extremely practical. And we also wondered whether in any of these ones, this goes for this one, whether there could have been a bit more turning in the top, a little bit more of a detail. This one got a nice little rim detail, albeit that's not designed to be sat on. So as a turning competition, you know, I don't know, a little bit of a bead around the edge or something else could have augmented it a little. But very good, both of them. Then this is
No, that's the
intermediate open. So this, that you, Jonathan, again? Yeah. Very nicely turned. There's no noticeable defects in the turning. The undercut on an ash is really hard to do because the grain, the winter and the summer grain, it's pretty difficult to get it without a bit of plucking, and that's really done very nicely. We thought you could have perhaps, if you'd wanted to, but it may not have been what you wanted to do, made it a little more elegant in terms of the side profile, a little bit less dog bowl, but that's my personal thing. You've embellished it with the bead on the outside, which is really nice, and a bit of texturing at the top, and a bit of texturing at the bottom. So, yeah, overall, really nice. Aesthetics are always in the eye of the beholder, but it's just this chunk there, if you like, rather than it flowing more down.
And the foot seemed to be, you weren't quite sure what you were doing with the foot.
Well,
When you look at it like that, it just sort of, it's difficult to quite work out what the foot was trying to do, whether you were trying to...
I couldn't work it out either.
Yeah, I think that sums it up.
that sums it up. But we didn't think that diminished, you know, from it at an intermediate level, all these little bits, the bits that get you upper level in due course.
But also the form is very subjective, isn't it?
It is. But the fact that it's got the little rim and you can grab hold of it and the undercut feels nice on your fingers is excellent. This is then advanced themed, and we scored this one first and this one second. It was quite a tussle as to how we tried to compare them, because they're two completely sort of separate things. I can't really lift that up one hand on the mic. I thought this one was really unusual, put it that way, and the fact that the champagne bottle had got a little turned foot at the bottom was great. The Poe, yes, we thought this was actually modelled on somebody's incontinence commode next to them. But that's tapered nicely to fit the shape. This is Jerry, was it? I think. Yeah. So that's tapered nicely to fit the doodad. So there's quite a bit of work in that. There are some minor scratchy blemishes underneath the bottom, possibly when you were actually doing the final finishing and fitting the legs in. Again, they're very minor, but they're there. And your little beads, the aesthetics don't, it's not a problem, but the three little beads are all different shapes around just a small point, but we still scored that first because we thought it was an unusual and original design. This one is structurally much more robust. Ignoring for a moment the resins and milliput at the top, but I mean there's a lot of good quality joinery to fit that together. It was sufficiently good. I wondered if the person had just got the legs from an IKEA stool and had stuck the top on. Whose was this, by the way?
As if I do that.
Yeah. Oh, so you did?
Old curtain pole, those legs.
Oh, so you didn't turn them?
I did, I'll have to turn them down.
Turn them
Get
down.
rid of the finish.
Yeah.
Sanded them.
That's why I said they looked like a bit of old ramming that had come from something, but
Rubber wood.
yeah. But it all came together well.
Sounds like a third then, don't you?
Yeah. And a seat at the top. You obviously struggled and put a lot of work into the different. Are these all liquid resins apart from the bit of milliput in the middle?
Yeah, they're all liquid. To separate the shapes, I just use plasticine, and I soon learned that with the Vestavuva resin you get this meniscus on all of the edges. So you're always going to have to sand the whole thing down, even though when the resin goes off it's beautifully clear and shiny. So you have to take it all away and try to polish it up. But the plastine works. The trick is
So the top was really
Not-
thick before.
not having too thick, not have the plasticine too high, otherwise the meniscus comes up and you have really sharp edges. So it's a bit of
Surface
a bit of a
tension.
game. So you end up doing 3 pores, but it works.
I mean, divided opinion as to the aesthetics and benefit of having all that hard work on the top, but it's a bit of fun. And there are, as you can see, some minor bleeds into the finish.
Yeah, cedar's not the right material to use.
It's very
That sort of
soft,
residue,
very
it's
soft.
hardwood.
But you learn, and it's a good bit of fun. You know, it'd be nice to see that in a wall plaque with additional texturing in between. That'd be a bit of fun. So yeah, just a marginal second. Then we've got one entry for the advanced open, which is a bit of ginkgo something or other, is it? No, is it ginkgo? Which has got that yellow cambium, which kind of looks sometimes like it's a bit there, but that's the wood. I couldn't figure out how to score it down below first, because it would have been second out of one, would have been a bit hard because it was John's.
Surprised it wasn't third.
But this time round, the blue hasn't bled because you did a bit of colouring on one before, and that had bled. This time it's nice and crisp, and it is actually quite square and quite uniform. And we know how hard these are to do, particularly to not end up with a slight dish in the middle, like the one that Terry did. There's a very slight dimple in the middle, which you either do that enough so that it's noticeable and it's deliberate, or you try and avoid it, which is hard. So then you're going to do the masters.
Am I going to do the masters?
Yeah.
I'm doing the masters. So the masters, we'll do the themed first, which is the stools stroke plant stand. So we've got, this one got second. Basically its finishes have given it, pulled it down. If you look on the underside, there's rings, sanding rings on the, in here. And it's a bit plucky around the edges, but lovely bit of wood, a few scratches on the top, but not a bad attempt, but you know, masters.
Who's done it?
I don't know. And this one got first. I'm not sure who did this one.
Thank you.
This one got first. This one, a lot more work in this, I would say, but lovely detail with the split jobbies to hold the pegs in. A few minor little problems. There's a bit of something in the
It's the middle part. It hadn't mixed quite, you know, because it's a white and grey.
What you mean is it hadn't been mixed properly.
Well, it was mixed very thoroughly for the prescribed time to the second.
The white one is really difficult because you can't see where it goes together. Where
It came out nowhere.
But
There you go.
all in all, a very nice,
Don't give him an excuse.
nice piece of work. Again, similar to these ones, we could say all of these could have done with something on the edge. This probably not, but this could have
It was a question of the
benefited.
chucking.
Yeah. So that got first, and then we came into the open, which is quite difficult to judge. Got a good mixture of pieces here. We'll start with this one. I can pick it up. I can't pick it up. One.
Can we hold the microphone?
Yep, you hold the microphone. So, whose is this?
Mine.
Right, lovely. I thought it probably was with the resin work. Nice.
Need it, do we?
Not really, no. Interesting resin work. A lot of work in this, and well, what can one say? The finish on the wood is pretty good. Some of the things have moved slightly in the resin, but I suppose that's to be.
Are they little pewter rings?
No, unfortunately, it was a steel costume jewellery necklace, and it was meant to be buried in the resin. So when I turned it, the wood distorted so much that I ended up touching one. So in the end, I used carbide tools, and it's actually cut through the Mars seal.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now it needs a new carbide tool.
Yeah. And what's the starfish made of?
My wife said, "Oh, I recognise that." Because an old brooch.
You like to live dangerously, don't you?
I thought the diamonds were glittering.
So yeah, lovely finish on the bottom. all in all, very nice piece.
Had you thought of having it as a wall hanging?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it could be. It's not very practical as a bowl. It's not well pattern.
Have you toast on it? Couldn't you? Toast in the morning.
So, yeah, a bit of butter.
So we gave that one first.
Toasted starfish.
Yeah, toasted starfish. And we also gave this a joint first. It's a bit difficult to determine between these two. The trouble is with the open, you get a variety of things, so they're not so compatible. This is a nice bit of oak. Anybody think it was done for the National Trust, but don't know where I got that idea. Lovely pot, coffee jar, and this has been hard wax oil finished.
Yeah, multiple coats.
Multiple coats, which haven't you're getting to use this quite well now, aren't you? No drips in it this time.
Yeah, wet applied with
Yeah.
with abrasive as you were doing it. Yeah.
Oh right, you put it on with an abrasive.
The second and third coat, I was
Right.
using like 2000 wet and dry.
Oh right, okay.
And lapping it in. I'd still prefer a slightly smoother finish on the inside, but that's the oak.
Yeah, quite a almost parallel, almost. And nice idea with it off-centered. Very nice. As Chris said, if you were given that as a
It's
prize,
a prize for the national
that'd be,
heuristic competition.
you'd
for
be
the national
very
trust.
pleased with that, or I would anyway. Right, then we went down, so as those were joint first, these got joint third. This is a nice little U pot. Whose is this?
Fine.
Very nice. Few little. It's got a bit of a pip in there. It's a general loose fit.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Was it not? I was in a tight fit.
Couldn't get it off.
And the bottom's got quite a bit of spiral.
It's a bit of puckering.
But it's a lovely piece of wood.
And I like the fact that
Nice
the
little-
lid is just a loose fit, because I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
think
you
that
need
I think that wouldn't work as a tight fit.
because you want it on the dressing table, you just want to be able to pick the lid off, don't you? Not pick the whole thing up.
You'd never get your earrings out of that though, would you? You'd be...
Yeah, but you can get your diamond engagement ring.
And then this is must be Harvey's. So I've marked this down a bit because the clock itself is very nice for the turning. And the body, you think, is it turning? Is it not? But it is turned on the back. But then the door at the back here, which is held on with rubber bands, it doesn't. It's not. Doesn't fit in the hole.
No, I had to, it moved and I had to
Yeah.
readjust it to get it.
Bloody wood, huh?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we mark that down as a third.
But the aesthetics of the piece as
Yeah,
a whole are great.
Very, very clever.
It's a nice piece.
We can tell it's a Harvey.
That was fun.
Yeah, a lot of detail. A lot of detail. in that. And I think
Yeah.
that's it. That's it.
Well done. Thank you, everybody. Well done.